everybody. I'm WPTV First Alert Meteorologist Kate Wentzel. Thanks for joining us on this Facebook Live. And we are excited because we are going to be talking with someone from FPL, and we're going to talk all things hurricane season related. And hard to believe it's already that time of year again. In fact, Tuesday is June 1st. So that is the official start to hurricane season, even though we've already had a named storm, Anna, which didn't bother us whatsoever, but so we already have one in the books. And according to the forecasters at NOAA, they are predicting an above average season. So once again, we like to say it's never too early to prepare. We always prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring in Marshall Hastings. Thanks for joining us, Marshall.
Thanks for having me, Kate.
And Marshall, you are a spokesperson with FPL.
That's
and
correct.
I know that everybody at FPL really puts a lot of emphasis on getting South Florida as prepared as possible for hurricane season, and you guys all do a great job with that. So anything you'd like to add before we get started?
Yeah, FPL is prepared for storm season. Like you said, it's already really begun with Tropical Storm Anna in the Atlantic. So we're prepared for hurricane season. We have a plan in place. We encourage customers to start doing that as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I want to ask you about some new technology you guys are experimenting with, drones, robots to help keep those power grids resilient. Can you go ahead and describe some of the new technology FPL is using?
Yeah, FPL has made some significant investments in some innovative technology that really makes the energy grid smarter, stronger, and more storm resilient. We've utilized drone technology, which allows us to make assessments, proactive assessments of the energy grid to identify any potential causes of concern and able to act on that in a quick manner. So if we're able to see if there's any potential issue, we're able to go out there and know exactly what tools we need. And that's a big positive for our customers. That helps reduce restoration times in many instances because we're able to get out there quicker than we might have been otherwise. You mentioned rovers. We utilize rovers at our FPL substations here in South Florida and across the state. And those follow an autonomous path, a predetermined path. And so it's the same kind of thought process. We're able to go out and we're able to see if there's any damage, if there's any concerns at a substation remotely, which can be a positive, certainly in a COVID environment where we're not having to put people out in the field. But it's also great in terms of cost and time savings because we're not necessarily having to have somebody at the substation to operate the rover. We're able to do that remotely. And again, if there's no issues, then we don't have to send somebody out there, but otherwise we're able to identify that concern and get out there and make the necessary improvements or adjustments.
Okay. And go ahead and describe to the viewers, what would a rover look like? Does it look like a little robot or what is it?
Yeah. So it's, I don't want to say a Mars type rover, but it's got 4 wheels like you might see. It's got a camera on top that allows us to be, not only just see straight in front, but we're also able to move that camera around. So if we need to look up into the air, we're able to see that, equipped with infrared technology as well. So some of the things that the human eye might not catch, the rover is able to catch that. So yeah, like you described it, just a little robot rover rolling around, identifying any issues that we need to address.
Okay. And tell us about what you typically do every hurricane season to prepare as far as cutting down trees, shrubs from power lines, making sure everything's good to go. Have you completed that process yet, or still are you wrapping that up before the official start of hurricane season, June 1st?
Yeah, FPL prepares year-round for hurricane season. So back in May, we held our annual Storm Dry Run event. And so it's a week-long instance where we prep the before, during, and after for a hurricane so that our crews are testing the processes and the procedures that we have in place to ensure that they're prepared to act on it. And then in terms, you mentioned vegetation, also a year-round process that we follow. We're maintaining vegetation along all of our power lines here in the state because vegetation is really the leading cause of outage during severe weather. So that's something that we take very serious. It's a shared responsibility between us, our customers, and the communities that we serve to maintain that vegetation throughout the year. Because as you said, storm season is right around the corner. So it's not something that we just wait until the last minute to begin preparing. It's a year-round process. It's always on our mind to ensure that the processes we have in place are still effective and then improving upon any other opportunities that we may have.
Okay. And now let's give the viewers some advice. If you had a customer that does everything right before storm season, what are some of the things they need to do specifically to help with keeping power on during a storm?
Yeah, now is the time for customers to prepare for storm season, and not when a storm is on our doorstep, not when it's 24, 48 hours away. So that includes getting food, getting water, getting emergency supplies so that you can be self-sufficient for an extended period of time should you be without power. It also includes if you have a member of your family that relies on life-sustaining medical equipment that requires electricity, ensure you have either a backup power source or can go somewhere that does should you lose power. There's a lot more information online as well at fpl.com/storm. But in terms of also, I mentioned generators, never operate a generator inside and always follow the manufacturer's safety guidelines.
Okay. So, last season was way above average. We had 30 named storms. One storm formed, it didn't get a name. So, and again, forecasters are saying this should be an above average season. Now, do you have folks that can help kind of like on reserve, maybe from other utility companies, should we get hit by a pretty powerful hurricane?
Yeah, so really in the utility industry in general, it's really one big family. So if we're impacted, crews from out of state will come down and support us, and vice versa. Last year, we supported 5 mutual assistance efforts as far north as New Jersey, up into Louisiana, and then up into the Panhandle as well. And then that same support was reciprocated when we were impacted at a couple different times throughout the season as well. So it is one big family. We do call upon the utility crews and companies outside of the state to come in and support, just like we do the same for them.
Okay, very good. Yeah. I mean, really, you guys are our heroes when, it's rough when you don't have AC and you're hoping for something, that power comes on. I mean, you just feel like you've won the lottery. So the service you guys provide is really, really incredible. Now talk about the danger of downed power lines. Okay, so right after a storm, when you might see a power line on the ground, how do you know if it's live or not, or what's your best tips?
The best tip that I would say in terms of down power lines is just keep safety top of mind, and keep safety top of mind throughout hurricane season, and especially after a storm. After a storm is really not the time to go out into your community and see what's down, if there's a tree down, if there's a power line down. Now is really, or at that point, isn't really the time to do that. The time at that point is to stay safe, stay inside. But if you do go out and see power lines, stay away. Never go near standing water, because you just don't know what is underneath it. If you do see a down power line, call 911 or 1-800-4-OUTAGE. But really, safety should be top of mind during and after a storm for your safety and the safety of those around you. Okay.
And customers, say we're in the aftermath of a storm, they probably can help you guys out by not calling too frequently. And you probably continuously update your website in a situation like that with where, when people can expect power. Is that the better place to go for answers?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a ton of information online, fpl.com. I encourage folks to download the FPL app that, like you mentioned, updates those restoration timelines if your account is signed in. But yeah, after a storm, if you do lose power or during a storm, you don't need to call FPL, because we are aware that the outages there, our system updates in real time. So we know exactly if somebody has power, what might be causing that outage. So if you do lose power, you don't need to call FPL, but do know that our crews are working around the clock to get the lights back on safely and as quickly as possible for our customers.
Right. Any other advice you'd give customers as we're headed into hurricane season?
Like I said, safety and preparation. Those are really the biggest things right now and into the season. Make sure that you have food, you have water, you have portable phone chargers. Your phone is going to be fully charged. Certainly if you lose power, that phone becomes an invaluable resource. Make sure that you have flashlight, batteries, so that should you lose power, you're able to navigate your home. But again, safety is top of mind for us. It should be top of mind for our customers, and preparation should be top of mind as well. Encourage customers to be involved and connected to FPL. Our Twitter and Facebook, social feeds are constantly updated. FPL.com, as I mentioned, and the FPL app is also just a great resource.
Okay. And it does seem in past hurricanes, South Florida sometimes fares better than other regions around the country. And I do feel that South Floridians are fairly resilient to storms. We've been through them a lot. And part of that, I think, is FP&L and your effort to continue to make the power system more resilient against hurricanes. I know you're working to put some power lines underground. What percentage of power lines in Palm Beach County, which just a rough estimate, would be underground lines versus?
I'm not positive on the exact number here in Palm Beach County, but I would say nearly all of our main power lines that serve critical facilities like hospitals, 911 call centers are hardened and underground, and more than 60% of all of our power lines statewide are hardened or underground. So I don't have the specific figure for Palm Beach County, but it is, like you said, it's a commitment that we're consistently making to find ways to strengthen the energy grid and make it smarter, stronger, and more storm resilient. We have our ongoing Storm Secure Underground pilot program, which began in 2018, and that's finding the most cost-effective ways to underground power lines. And we found that's very valuable for our customers because those underground power lines are 50% more reliable during great sunny days like we've had this weekend, but also 85 to 95% more reliable during the storm. So that's one of those various examples that we've done that we're committed to providing that energy grid that's reliable for our customers.
Okay. And once a power line is underground, it's going to make it through most storms. Is that correct?
Yeah, like I said, 85 to 95% more reliable. We saw the benefits to that during Hurricane Irma here in 2017, I think it was. So it is a more reliable resource for our customers when that power line is underground.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, feel free, any viewers, to ask any questions or comments. We can get back to you, and we might be able to access this after the fact once we post it online. And I can get to some of those questions as well. But Marshall, we really appreciate, all of the hard work that FP&L puts into preparing before the storm and the recovery efforts after the storm. So I thank you for all of your hard work.
Thank you, Kate. Appreciate you having me and appreciate the opportunity to talk to our customers.
And you did mention more information can be found on your website, fpl.com.
Yeah, fpl.com/storm is actually a great resource for storm season. It's got a checklist of things that you may need. It's got a great hurricane preparation guide. So encourage customers to take a look on there, not only during a storm, but also before a storm to kind of help you think through some of those things you might need beyond just like we talked about, the food, the water, the supplies, but other things such as ensuring your house is sealed and you've got the necessary equipment should you need it. So fpl.com/storm is really a great resource and a great tool for our customers.
Yeah, especially when you consider that I think Florida has at least 1,000 new residents moving in per day, and I think that number is increasing. So with each season, we have residents that have never been through a hurricane season before. So, it's really important for all of us to get the word out and tell people how to prepare and kind of calm their fears, because it can be very scary, especially for people that have never lived in an environment that is prone to hurricanes.
Yeah, like you said, there's a lot of people coming down to Florida. We've seen that just in the last year. And so by default, there's going to be a lot of folks that haven't lived through a hurricane and understand what is necessary to be prepared for that. So taking that time now to do that is going to make a storm, should we be impacted, it'll help out in the long run. We've seen what the pre-storm looks like with Publix. If everybody's getting their resources, we've seen the long lines at gas stations. Making that preparation now can really be a benefit for a customer if we're impacted, because you eliminate that potential stress of, I need to go get water. I need to go get supplies. You already have that at your home. You're already prepared. And now you can focus on those last minute adjustments and then preparing to act on your plan. Right.
And depending on, what different storm we're facing, the threats can be different. Sometimes the highest threat is wind. And if it's wind, you want to hide from wind, indoors. But if it's water, you want to evacuate. You want to run from the water, because if water comes in your house, then obviously that's not going to be a safe structure anymore. So I think it's important that people know what evacuation zone they're in, so that they know, yes, at this point I will have to make plans to go to higher ground or somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. And staying up to date with your local government and any emergency notifications that they send out is going to be incredibly valuable for customers. You can make these preparations, but storms are unpredictable. We've seen in the past couple of years storms that we didn't anticipate to be impacting the state. Certainly, we're still making the preparations, should they, but they can make a last second turn. I remember Hurricane Dorian. We thought that was going to be coming straight on to make landfall, and certainly we were impacted by it, but not to the magnitude that might have been expected 24 to 48 hours ahead of time. So ensuring that you're making the preparations, but you're not just ending it there. You're staying up to date with information throughout the storm's process, before it makes landfall, if it does, or before it impacts us, during, and then certainly after as well.
All right. Well, Marshall, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And let's all pray for a safe hurricane season. And hopefully we won't need to be talking again this summer about a specific storm, but if we do, then we'll handle it together. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, Kate. Stay safe.
All right, you too.